there's inadequate expenditure on roads, the opportunity to ask questions about that will go to the Transport Committee. This enables us to examine the whole budget more efficiently than if we just did it in the main chamber. One question, one answer. Now we can have 8 questions, 8 answers running simultaneously. Now these committees will run for a fortnight. A group, 4 of them will run for 1 week, and then another 4 will run for another week. This enables members to get to the 2, whichever committees they wish to attend. And the committees run from 9 a.m. till about 11 p.m. at night. So the Minister will sit there all day with his or her senior officials all day and into the night, and then come back the next day and come back the next day. So it's very difficult for senior public servants to stonewall and not provide the answers. So that's the basic structure of the way we go about doing it. Now, I'll give you a rough idea of the timetable that we have to do this, and the timetable is spread across a year. I have a lot of difficulty with timetables, so I put a Christmas tree at each end, and I put an Easter egg there, so that lets me orient myself where I am in the year. And what we do is we have the budget introduced, and immediately after that we start these inquiries. Then we'll have those inquiries again around October. Then we'll go through one Christmas tree. This is very technical. You can't do this in PowerPoint. Happens to be the same Christmas tree as this one. And then early in the new year, we'll have a further round. So we get 3 times a year where honourable members can ask the Minister and officers about the detail of their expenditure proposals. Just very briefly, the tools which are available to you when you're in this committee environment. I was talking to you about the mechanisms and the documentation. It's critical that you have enough documentation. So sitting in the committee like this, what you've got is, of course, your budget bills. You've got notes which explain the budget. You've got audit reports which have come out throughout the year. You've got any other special ad hoc reports or court decisions. For example, there was a tragedy here not so long ago in maritime circumstances. The reports of that would be available for the committee to examine. You've also got media reports. You've also got annual reports of departments and agencies. These are very important documents. And then direct constituency matters. Constituents are asking you, they're telling you that there are problems with the way the money's being spent and so on, and you represent their questions into the ministries. And then, of course, we have fishing expeditions where you go around looking, you think there's something wrong, and you ask lots of questions to find out. And also back of truck. Back of truck is very important in Australia, which is documents which fall into your hands, which shouldn't perhaps fall into your hands, but explain to you what's happening inside government. So they're the basic tools which are used by Australian senators to ask questions about the budget. Now what I want to do in just a couple of moments is show you some vision of this in action, to give you a sensation of what it is that we're doing. The first one is a senator asking questions of the Department of Defence, and some of you might recognise some of these questions. And the point I want to make here is the level of representation, which is very, very senior, which is demanded and received by Australian senators in terms of attendance of witnesses. I will stop to point out some personalities in there.
I mean, Highfly own a number of aircraft.
Okay, so just starting there, just to give you a feel of what's happening in this image, we have what we call a witness table here. And over the side towards where I'm standing is another table with the senators asking questions. Now at the table, it's really important to note right in the middle here is the Minister. The Minister for Defence is required to be in attendance all day. We've also got the Chief of the Defence Force. He's the head of the Defence Force, also required to be in attendance all day. In Australia, in addition to the Chief of Defence Force, we also have a Secretary to the Department, so he's there. And he's got his senior officers who are dressed in civilian attire. The other people you see there is the head of the Navy is there, and the head of the Air Force is there, and the head of the Army is sitting just behind here. So the point I'm trying to make is you as legislators are able to ask anybody to turn up and explain where's the money going. And you can ask them any questions you like. Just give you a little bit of a flavour of the questioning.
But I'm not sure whether this is one that they own or one that they're leasing.
Is this not important to us? That we know the identification of the aircraft, we know how old it is and how its service record
We
has been.
do have that information. We can provide that.
But Senator, unless the aircraft is airworthy, it won't be flown in.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have an RPT at the moment and it's still getting one. You're telling me that it's a leased aircraft through Highfly. There seems to be so many different houses of cards here. It is of concern.
So what we've got here is we've got a senator who's very concerned about a major capital piece of equipment, in our case an aircraft, in your case a year or so ago a ferry. And what he's doing, he's asking is what's the quality of the testing of whether we're getting the right piece of capital equipment. Now these questions could have been asked in this country a year or so ago in relation to a ferry. They're being asked now in Australia. So you can see we were discussing earlier in the week whether we have the power to investigate that particular matter. I'm showing you here they do it through the budgetary process, for example. So you would be talking to the senior officials who are responsible for leasing with public monies certain public assets, for example inter-island ferries, and there can be detailed examination about that. And that examination, what I wanted you to see is that it will just go on in a very measured way. There's no time limits. We've got from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock tonight. We come back tomorrow, we come back the next day. If the committee gets really concerned about it, we'll set up a special investigation and we'll spend months on it, right? But it can start from simple questioning over the budget. A couple of other examples that I wanted to show you in relation to budgetary examination, and then I hear Mr. Chairman winding me up, but I'll just show you a couple more samples to give you a feel of the flavour of the way this questioning goes. In particular, what we're looking at here is again the dramatis personae, who turns up, and the range of questioning that's involved. In this case, we've got questions about the cost of leasing aircraft, another military one, but it's a useful example to show you that you can get at the exact costs of things that you're after.
Now, what about the value of the contracts? You did give us, of course, some information previously on this, Air Vice Marshal. Is there any update you're able to provide, or has that slippage in the some of the timelines that you've mentioned had an impact in terms of being able to indicate to the committee what the final value of contracts is?
I think I have mentioned before, Senator, that the project management agreement, which is the agreement with Qantas Defence Services to get these aircraft through fit-out, it was $4.1 million Australian. Yep. I would be unwilling to disclose or reluctant to disclose our budget for the project management agreement before we've actually completed the negotiations with Qantas Defence Services, with your indulgence. The leasing costs of the aircraft at exchange rates of 54 cents to the US dollar, sorry, 54 cents US to the Australian dollar, will amount to something in the order of $32 million Australian per annum.
Sorry, what was that figure?
32
yeah.
per annum.
That's at 54 cents.
Yes. It's very sensitive to the exchange rate, of course.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's subject to the vagaries, if you like, of the exchange rate. So have you worked out on the current exchange rate as of today what that figure is?
you could proportion it on the basis of 54 over 51.
Yeah, I know, but I just wondered if you'd worked it out.
No, I didn't bring my calculator with me.
Okay. Yeah, that, you're just leaving that hard work to the committee, are you, Air Vice Marshal? We really appreciate that.
Right, now that's an interesting one there. What happened is the Senator has asked how much money has been set aside for a particular tendering process. And the Air Vice Marshal very politely says, with your indulgence, I won't answer that. In other words, I recognise you're entitled to the answer, but let me tell you, you don't want to know the answer just yet, because if I tell you the answer, what it does is it tells the companies how much money I've set aside and they'll up their bids. You see, so what I've done is I've tried to suppress get the best value for the taxpayer, and I've pushed the bids down. Now, if you ask me to tell you what that figure is, and I tell you at this public meeting, then out there the company will suddenly say, oh, we've had another look at this, it's a bit more difficult, you know, and they'll up their bid, right? But the important thing to note is the Air Vice Marshal knows that at the next round of estimates, he'll have to tell the proper price. But he gives the rough parameters as to how much they should be spending, etc. So you can see the level of detail we get down to, and we've got around the Minister from just basic, should we spend money on defence or should we spend money on health? And we're now down into the detail of how actual contracts are being awarded and so on, which is very, very important for controlling taxpayer expenditure. I wanted to leave you with a flavour of why there are no guns in the street in Australia, and you can see the political heat at estimates. The senators do get stuck into each other and into the minister. I don't necessarily recommend this to you, but it does show you how seriously they take these matters. Beg your pardon. And you can see here. Once again, this same senator you've seen already, he asks quite difficult questions of the minister, and he explains how tough he's going to be.
Did Ms Jarvis support Australia talks and right of reply?
That cannot possibly have anything to do with the estimates process.
Senator
It has nothing whatsoever to do with the estimates process, and you have no right.
Okay, so they're starting to have an argument. Let me just show you who's who here again. What we've got here is the committee around the table, right? We've got Honourable Mr Chairman there, other senators here, Secretary sitting here. We've got Hansard across the back here. We've got television cameras, so this is going all around Australia, around the world, whoever is bored enough to watch this kind of television. Then across here we've got the executive, represented by the Honourable Minister here. He's starting to sit back. He's getting ready for a fight. Here is the head of the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Here are the senior officers from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and here are the rest of the staff of the ABC. Any of these staff can be asked to come up and sit here and answer questions. Ask directly by name, so you can bypass the Minister. This was a breakthrough for us. Previously, committees could only ask the Minister a question, and the Minister would decide which officers would turn up. Now the committee has the power to ask directly to any officer. Okay, it's a good little stoush, this one.
Control over the nuclei of internal discussions inside the ABC, quite equivalent to internal discussions in departments. You know you're not entitled to seek that information, and you're not seeking
and one of my questions is, did Ms Jarvis support right of reply
that has got
and
nothing
Australia
to do with anything that's relevant to this committee.
Why? What do you got to cover up on that?
Well, you might want to call
Isn't it true?
everything that is ever not answered to your satisfaction
Isn't that
to
true?
cover
One
up.
of the
There are
reasons
rules
that
that
Ms
apply
Jarvis was
to the
forced to
conduct
resign?
of estimates committees.
Let's get to the nub of it. Isn't right of reply one of the reasons that Ms Jarvis was forced to resign?
The answer is no, Senator, but...
Did she
but
support this programming, did she?
Sorry?
She supported this programming.
Well, that particular program she did, Senator, but...
What about
The Minister...
we are not
Australia
here.
Talk?
This is an estimates committee process, right? If you're going to go on trying to trawl over the internal workings of an organisation,
that's exactly what we are going to do, Minister, and that is just
absolute
what
abuse
this
of process.
committee is about. We are going to trawl over the internal workings of the ABC, and we're going to do it at our leisure. So let's get used to it.
Just get used to it. That's exactly what we're going to do. I want to move to ratings. I know Senator Bishop and other senators do too. I want to move to a whole range of management issues, and I'm going to do it today. If we don't do it today, we'll come back and do it at another stage. So that's precisely what accountability means, and that's precisely what I intend to do at this hearing as we move through the afternoon, evening and night.
Ask what individual employees...
Just get used to it.
So, okay. So that might look a little bit undignified, and a lot of our colleagues from the Commonwealth and Africa, for example, they come to Australia and they see these sorts of processes. But let me tell you, as a result of these processes, there is a fair distribution of goods and services across the community. Politicians such as yourselves are able to go in and find out where the money is going, why it's been spent that way, and should it be spent in a better way. And if it takes a bit of an argument every now and then, that is a lot better than civil unrest because of the maldistribution of resources across the community. We've had something like that. We will have a hot political argument, which we love in Australia, and it gets lots of airplay, and it lasts for 4 minutes. And then for the rest of the 18 hours, there'll be detailed, normal questioning about how the money is being spent in the budget. Honourable members, I hope that was of some use to you this morning, give you some insights into alternative means of examining a budget. Thank you.